Yo, what's good? It's your boy DJ Avalanche, the Caribbean's hottest, internationally known. Got to do a major shout out and salute to the Boxing Source. Check it out every Sunday with my boy JR. It's so amazing, so major, so informative. And make sure y'all keep locked, because I keep it locked right there to the Boxing Source. DJ Avalanche, salute.
What's up? What's going on? What's good? Boxing Source here, and I wanted to talk about the comments that were made by Showtime Shawn Porter in a segment of his podcast, The Porter Way. I want to see if I can run this real quick, and it's going to be, about a couple minutes, and then I'm going to follow up with reaction to those comments made by Showtime Shawn Porter. So let's get into it.
I do want to touch on this real quick. I know we over. I want to touch on this real quick because, Shawn, you were there and you saw everything that was going on. You saw the way that Bob was moving, and I saw the way that ESPN, Joe Tessitore, Andre Ward, Timothy Bradley, even Bernardo, and Mark Kriegel, who was a great friend of mine. I love Mark. I'm not mad at all, and I understand it's the order of things, it's the way things are. But I said this to the guys. I said it before the show started, but Shawn Porter is not a part of the company line.
What do you mean by that?
You interviewed Bob, and you asked Bob a question, and I didn't see the question, but I saw the answer, and Bob was alluding to not being able to make the money that he wants to make against or with Terence Crawford.
Right.
That bothered me. And I'm going to go on record for saying that bothered me because that's a part of the business that you keep to yourself. You keep in the house.
Yeah.
You don't let everyone else know something like that. You don't let everyone know how you feel about the business and about your guy. Unbeknownst to me, I feel like Terence has done a fantastic job within Top Rank.
Yeah, absolutely.
Clearly, he's been loyal to no one but Top Rank and Bob Arum. You are Top Rank, and I felt very displeased by what I had read from Bob Arum. So when I talk about Shawn Porter not being a part of the company line, Bob Arum isn't wanting to cash out with Terence Crawford. However, he is wanting to make more money with Terence Crawford. It's no secret. We all want to make money in the sport of boxing.
Yeah.
He does not think that he can make that money with Shawn Porter. He knows that he can make it with Errol Spence Jr., and he knows that he can make it with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
He does not know if he can make it with Shawn Porter, and because Shawn Porter does not have a belt, there's a lot of risk in that fight with Shawn Porter.
Interesting.
I'm not mad at it, and I understand it fully. But when I say Shawn Porter's not a part of the company line, everyone's talking about Terence Crawford fighting Errol Spence Jr., fighting Manny Pacquiao, and so on and so forth. But no one's talking about him fighting me.
Now, to go over those particular comments in a segment of the Porter Way podcast, you have Shawn Porter, someone that, being a former world champion with the IBF belt and with the WBC belt at one point. He talks about, him not being part of the quote-unquote company line, as he says. That, as he explained, that Bob Arum feels like a fight between Terence Crawford and Shawn Porter does not make the money that he would probably want for a fight of that magnitude. That, I guess, Bob Arum just feels like, with Terence Crawford, the best opportunities I have for making some good money off of Terence Crawford is against a Manny Pacquiao or against an Errol Spence Jr. And he doesn't feel like it happens with a Shawn Porter. And Shawn Porter says, you know what? I mean, hey, I don't mind that. I don't, feel like that's a necessary issue on Bob Arum's side. But he does have a problem with what Bob Arum was saying, that you don't talk about those types of things within the business out in public. But from my perspective, this is not new coming from Bob Arum. We've seen it happen with Bob Arum on, a couple of occasions. Most notably, when he had Guillermo Rigondeaux years ago And he had the fight between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Nonito Donaire. And we saw that fight. Rigondeaux was pretty much taking Donaire to school. Donaire was supposed to be, I guess, that next guy that Top Rank and Bob Arum was supposed to prop up, the Filipino Flash. Like, he was supposed to be coming behind the Manny Pacquiao. But then he had that match with Guillermo Rigondeaux, and Guillermo Rigondeaux took him to school, almost shut him out. He had that knockdown late in the fight. But other than that, Nonito Donaire really couldn't do anything against Guillermo Rigondeaux. And after that fight, after Rigondeaux pretty much scored the, clear decision victory over Nonito Donaire, you had Bob Arum talking about, Guillermo Rigondeaux, he's not really an exciting fighter. He's a great boxer, but he's not an exciting fighter. He doesn't bring great fights to the ring. With that being said, you can't really do anything with him. I mean, it is what it is. So, that was another example of Bob Arum really, I'd say, shitting on a fighter that he has within his own stable. And that really doesn't help you out as a promoter. You're supposed to, as a promoter, bring the best out of your fighters, no matter what they do. Like, say that Guillermo Rigondeaux is the most skilled boxer that's out there. Nobody can really touch him. But he didn't do that. And so, because of that, you pretty much had Guillermo Rigondeaux kind of eased on out of Top Rank. Now here we go, fast forward, and we have Terence Crawford. Now, he has said, Bob Arum that is, that Terence Crawford could beat Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence Jr. on the same night. Okay, cool. But how you going to say that and then turn around and talk to the likes of, the Tim Bradleys and Mark Kriegels of ESPN, like Shawn Porter stated, or like people within the Athletic, and say that Terence Crawford basically loses money. When you hit on a Terence Crawford fight, that you lose money. Well, you're losing money because you're not promoting Terence Crawford right. If he's supposed to be the guy that's number one pound for pound, most talented fighter in boxing, you're supposed to say that. On the flip side, you were talking about that with Vasily Lomachenko, talking about this guy is almost like the level of Muhammad Ali. When it comes to skills, he's like Muhammad Ali. Why aren't you saying that about Terence Crawford? That's what you should do as a promoter. But you're not doing that. And here, with the thing with what Shawn Porter is talking about company line, that he's not part of the company line, that, they're not going to make money if they make a fight between me and Terence Crawford. But yet, you're able to make fights with Terence Crawford against Gidigis Kavaliauskas, against Benavidez, and against Kell Brook, and against Amir Khan. So you're able to make those fights. Amir Khan has worked with, Al Heyman, right? Okay, cool. So why can't you do that with a Shawn Porter? Shawn Porter says, you know what? I'm too much of a risk. And I feel like I agree with him. He's too much of a risk for a fight of that particular magnitude. That he wants to have, Bob Arum that is, he wants to have Terence Crawford fighting for a unification against Manny Pacquiao or against Errol Spence. Because if he fights someone like a Shawn Porter or maybe a Keith Thurman or your Dennis Ugas, that he may feel like that is too much of a risk for Terence Crawford to take at this particular point, that takes him away from the potential of having a big bout between Errol Spence Jr. or against Manny Pacquiao. But Bob Arum needs to do a better job with his fighter. And that's why you have that whole back and forth going on in the previous, in the past 7 days or so between Terence Crawford and Bob Arum, which seems like right now, it seems like it's cooled down, but we'll find out about that here in the near future. We are going to have the trainer and manager for Terence Crawford, Brian Bomac McIntyre, on the podcast. That will be tonight, pretty much hours after this video is going to be posted. So y'all tune into that. But for me, I feel like Shawn Porter is basically right that you don't talk about that type of that part of the game or that part of the business out in public like that when it comes to a Terence Crawford or anybody like that. But like I was saying before, how is it that you're gonna say stuff like that about Terence Crawford, like he said about Guillermo Rigondeaux, but you don't say that about other fighters within your stable, like a Vasyl Lomachenko, where you're able to make moves for Vasyl Lomachenko to not only fight for a vacant WBC title, but you are able to have him become a franchise champion. I'm just saying. But like I said, we're going to get into it a little bit more when it comes to Bob Arum and Terence Crawford later today. We're going to have Brian Bomac McIntyre on the show, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time live. It will be on this YouTube channel. You'll be able to listen to it. We're going to get it on. We're going to get it in. So y'all tune in. All right? Till next time, I'm out. Peace.